Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, allow me to move the table to the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC. Number 1, Mr. Erastus Edung Efcon, Chairperson. Number 2, Ms. Anne Jerry Nderitu, Member. Number 3, Mr. Moses Alutalala Muhana, Member. Number 4, Ms. Mary Karen. Here, I saw Dahoud Mohammed of Wajir East here, Johnny Makale of Kandui, Stephen Mogaka of West Mogirango, and the rest of them. All of them, as named in the report, played a key role in actually vetting these members and making this report, which was tendered to this House yesterday, an elaborate report. It's a bit long, but I hope every member has had a chance to read this report, to acquaint himself or herself with it, so that you know the reasons why the committee has made a recommendation that we approve the 7 nominees. The report begins with the chairperson's forward, in which observations are made, including compliance with the Constitution, the reasons why this was done on a Saturday, and the position we take regarding the court order that stopped vetting on the 26th of May. That indeed it appeared on the face of it that the courts were barring or injuncting Parliament from carrying its duties. We took exception to that and pointed out that Parliament and the Speaker and the Speakers have ruled on this severally, cannot be injuncted from discharging its constitutional mandate. Be that as it may, this is a house of law. We obey the law as it is. Before we could evaluate the order, we had to obey first. Then after that, we had to evaluate what to do. And fortunately, the judge actually realized the mistake he made. And on that Thursday, he was able to vary the order to what it is in the present form today. The first, chapter 1, which is the preface on the establishment of the committee, is self-speaking. Chapter 2, which is on the background information of the committee and the nominated members, is also self-speaking. And I will not go into this for purposes of saving on time. Chapter 3 is on the memoranda from the public on suitability of the nominees. And we need to speak on this because there were various issues that were raised by several members of the public. And those issues are captured in chapter 3 of the report. On each member where there was any objection raised, we have not captured the approvals because we also received quite a huge amount of paperwork, which were affidavits in approval. But since we are not required to consider these and table reports on them, because we are only required under the Approvals Act to discuss the objections, we did not capture the approvals. However, we have captured the objections as raised before the committee, and in chapter 3, the House can actually look at what was said about each. I will be commenting on this shortly. And number 4, it's on approval hearings. We have tried to capture this almost verbatim, what each of the nominees presented to us, right from their own opening statements, whereby they gave a history of themselves, and eventually we had to look at their academic background, experience in the works or in the various fields, and suitability, which is a requirement of the law when it comes to vetting. We looked at all this, and it is captured in chapter 4 of the report. Chapter 5 Chapter 4 is quite lengthy because I repeat, it captures almost verbatim what the nominees had to say, including their responses to the objections. Now, chapter 5, which is very important, is on our observations regarding the nominees, our committee observations on the nominees. We have observed whatever it is we took of interest and importance. We have set it in chapter 5 on each of these nominees, and chapter 6 is actually on our recommendations. Having evaluated these particular nominees, we did not hesitate to recommend that each of them be actually approved. Now, who are we approving as the nominees? For the chairperson of IEBC, we have Mr. Erastus Edung Ethekon, who hails from Turkana. Number one, he was one of the two persons who were forwarded to His Excellency the President for nomination, and he was picked from those two. Then, as regards the process of nominating him, we were satisfied that the process was in compliance with the Constitution and in compliance with the Parliamentary Public Approvals Act. Mr. Ethekon demonstrated knowledge of his area of specialty, which is law, and that he satisfies to be a judge of the Supreme Court, which is a requirement for his appointment. He has more than 15 years of practice, and he also has a lot of experience in other matters, including conflict management, which we think is very important, and especially because of the disputes that arise after elections. There was an objection to Mr. Ethekon's appointment on the basis that he is closely related to the governor, to the former governor of Turkana, Mr. Josephat Nanok. This was in a sworn statement, and therefore we had to deal with it. On interrogation, Mr. Ethekon confirmed that he has no relationship whatsoever with Mr. Josephat Nanok, apart from work-related relationship. That at one time, he was appointed as the county attorney of Turkana, and he worked with Mr. Josephat Nanok. Even after Mr. Josephat Nanok left office, he continued working with the governor who is presently in that office, and therefore work-related relationship cannot be a bar to his becoming the chairperson. Otherwise, he demonstrated knowledge of electoral matters, he demonstrated knowledge of law, and he actually confirmed that he has the spine to deal with elections in the Republic, which are ordinarily very emotive. With those remarks, we are convinced that he suits to actually be the chairperson of the IEBC. The second person was Ms. Anne Jerry Derito, who currently is the registrar of political parties. She has worked for over 10 years with the IEBC, where she rose to become a director. Therefore, in our view, we actually termed her as an insider, a person who knows how IEBC works. There was an objection to her nomination on the basis that she is a state officer. The person who objected stated that the appointment was contrary to the law because she is a state officer. And unfortunately, the law is clear, which is that you cannot be appointed when you are a state officer. The word used is appointment, and not nomination. She was able to clarify to our satisfaction that she has not been appointed, she has only been nominated. The third person is Mr. Moses Alutalala Muhwana. Mr. Muhwana, who actually is an advocate of the High Court of Kenya with over 11 years experience. On top of that, he has been a teacher for a long time, amongst the many other things he has done. What struck the committee with satisfaction was his ability to communicate. Mr. Muhwana is a good communicator, especially when he started giving us his journey through life in Kiswahili. Eventually, he answered our questions in English. He is able to speak both languages in a manner that he will be able to relay matters of IEBC to the country when the time comes. So, to him, the gem he takes to IEBC is that of communication, and I hope he will make use of it, because the one reason Kenyans have a problem with IEBC, the trust issues we have with IEBC, is purely because communication is not as good. We want to hear what is happening at every step of everything, including awarding of contracts, so that nobody feels we are being shortchanged or somebody is trying to do things under the table with a view to delivering elections that are not credible, fair, and justifiable. Mr. Muhwana will fit that shoe so well. The fourth candidate was Mary Karen Sorobit, another advocate of the High Court of Kenya, who came in with experience from many institutions of the government, including the Advocates Complaints Commission, vetting of judges, and many other areas that she has served in for the last almost 20 years as an advocate. Mary Karen suits the position. We felt that as a lady again, she also gets now into the gender equality, which is very important, and also as a person from South Rift, then again, regional balance is achieved. The fifth person was Mr. Hassan Nur Hassan. Hassan Nur Hassan has worked in the public service for over 40 years. Although today, he is not working with the public service. He has great knowledge in matters public. He has great knowledge in matters dispute and conflict resolution, as he demonstrated. In fact, due to his age, we said the rest of them are young. We require somebody of his age to guide the commission when the time comes. Therefore, in spite of objections raised to him, and there were many, including that he had been in the Rift Valley when there was the clashes, he was able to show that even when he was there and the clashes occurred, he was able to quell them, he was able to resettle these persons, and peace was restored. There was an objection to his relationship with a member of parliament. We will not discuss that much, apart from he is a brother-in-law to the member of parliament. Anything else was not material in the objection, because, as we have said, he is a senior citizen. In fact, his response was that he was where he is even before that member of parliament was born. So it is coincidental that one of them is married to the sister of the other, which does not affect, it does not impair his way of delivering results when it comes working for IEBC. With those reasons, we were convinced that his relationship to the member of parliament was actually not material to the way he was going to discharge his duties. Number 6 was Mr. Francis Othiambo Aduol, a gentleman who has worked in the universities ever since time immemorial, with an advanced age, which we also felt was extremely useful for this commission. Number 1, he has great experience in quantity surveying, geospatial engineering, and many other matters he brought before us. He struck the nation because they were listening to him as a person who is highly knowledgeable in matters relating to the earth, and the way you can subdivide the earth. All of you are looking forward to having constituencies delimited. And here is one person who is able to match the size of the constituency with the number of persons so that we are able to arrive at a fair and just decision. Therefore, Mr. Francis Aduol is suitable to be a member when it comes to exactly what Kenyans expect, which is fair representation on the basis of constituencies. We did not hesitate to approve Mr. Francis Othiambo Aduol to become a member of the IEBC. Finally, there was a young lady who came from a place called Shela in Lamu. Young, she's 32 years old, and the first impression she created was that of a youth. Therefore, youths who have been extremely agitated, they have been anxious, they have been complaining that they do not get involved in such important matters like electoral matters, IEBC, etc. Now have one of their own in this particular commission. So, Ms. Fahima represents the youth.
There is a point of order.
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I have heard the able chair of this committee refer to this lady, Fahima, and use the word, she created the impression of being a youth. I thought you'd say she is a youth. That impression, that statement is misleading. So, and because we are on the floor of the House, can you correct that and say she is indeed a youth?
Murugara, did she create an impression or she's a youth?
No, she is a youth. Yes. She is actually a youth,
yes,
as required in law.
Yes.
All right? What the impression was, being 32, when she actually appeared, we thought she was in her 20s. Otherwise, she's 32 years old, extremely knowledgeable. No.
That is not a qualification.
That is not a point to be considered, Honorable. Although Honorable Farah kept on constantly repeating that one, and some members found it quite curious. When he gets a turn to speak, he will possibly speak on it. But this young lady has worked ever since she left.
Yes, Honorable Farah.
The Honorable Chair is casting up aspersions on me. He doesn't know that my wives are watching this now. And he wants to land me in problem when I go back home. So
he's saying you have roving eyes.
Eh?
You have roving eyes.
Thank you, Honorable Farah. The operative word is wives. The wives are watching, not wife. However, he observed it, and let him just tell us something about it. This young lady has worked right from her days after university with Lamu County. She has been a ward admin. She has risen all the way today. She is the CECM finance in that county. So when we evaluated her, she actually met all the parameters that were required. Number one, she's a youth, we repeat. So the youths of the Republic of Kenya are taken care of. And they should not complain again that we, the elderly gentlemen or gentle ladies, are actually avoiding them when it comes to matters important as this one. Number two, she is a lady because she cannot be anything else. Gender. So the ladies have produced a youth who will represent the youths, both the men and the women. And this is extremely important. Number three, she's from a small community. Although Bajuni, she's a Shela, a small community in Lamu, not very developed, marginalized to some extent, but she has actually been able to rise to that important position. And number four, the education. She holds a degree from the university, Kenyatta University. She has worked in senior positions, and she has demonstrated she is able to deliver. And our question was this: can she stand up and defend IEBC when it is under attack, especially by the youth. She demonstrated that she will be speaking directly to the youths. Matters IEBC. When they issue, when they are questioned, when there are questions to be answered, she will be speaking to the youths directly so that they can hear her and understand her. So, with those very many remarks, we looked at every one of them. We were satisfied that they suit the nominations given to them, and we did not again hesitate to approve all of them. With those remarks, Honorable Speaker, allow me kindly to beg and move and then request the senior counsel in the House, with the permission from my vice chair who is here. Yeah, these days, you know, we are broad-based, and we have to be broad-based everywhere, with my vice chair who is here and is listening attentively. The senior counsel is no other than Honorable Otiende Amolo, the Member of Parliament for Arienda, who sat throughout, listened to these people writing the reports and everything else. Senior counsel, kindly, Mr. Speaker, allow me so that he seconds. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second this special motion, and I thank my chairman, my vice chairman, and the other members for sacrificing not just their Saturday, but their Madaraka. For us, we had no Madaraka on this day because we sat throughout. Mr. Speaker, it's important that Kenyans and this House understands the context in which we are recommending all the nominees to be passed. First of all, Mr. Speaker, we had a very robust vetting session. It was covered live in most of the stations. We posed to the nominees all the questions that had been raised by those who had objected. And there were 3 people who objected, Dr. Gikenyi, Mr. Omondi, and Ms. Masinde. And it is their constitutional right to object. But we were satisfied that all the objections they had raised were sufficiently dealt with to our satisfaction. It is important also to note that in some cases, we actually had to recall some of the nominees for further clarification when some of the members also raised issues which looked like they were not sufficiently addressed. And they came back and answered those questions sufficiently. Mr. Speaker, let me just very briefly speak to some of this. I think the chairman has covered a lot of them. Let me start with the nominee for chair, Erastus Ethekon. It is important to note that for you to be chair of IEBC, you must be qualified to be a judge of the Supreme Court under Article 166. To be a judge of the Supreme Court, you need either to have practiced for 15 years as an advocate, or been a judicial officer for 15 years, or have done something relevant in the field of law. We were satisfied that this nominee had practiced for 22 years continuously. But in addition, the work he has done over the period, including his current station as an expert in the African Union Development Agency, NEPAD, in South Africa, qualifies him in any other relevant field of law. And that is why we have recommended him. Mr. Speaker, Madam Anne Nderitu, objection was based on the fact that she is currently serving as the Registrar of Political Parties. Now, that was satisfied, Mr. Speaker, as explained by the chair, on the issue that the disqualification is on appointment. And this nominee produced to us a ruling by our own speaker of 4th December 2014, which has been religiously followed, that the disqualification comes at the point of appointment, and assured us that should she be successful, she will resign before appointment, and therefore it satisfied that objection. Mr. Speaker, Dr. Moses Alutalala is a man whose journey, who has had an odious educational odyssey, having qualified first as a primary school teacher with a diploma, and then rose through self-education to be one of the first parallel students in law. And his journey has been very long. But of note to us is the fact that he was admitted as an advocate in the year 2014, and was able to produce to us every practicing certificate each year since then. And that satisfies the idea of being a practitioner of at least 10 years. And that's why we were satisfied. Mr. Speaker, Mary Karen Sorobit has practiced law for 29 years. But an objection was raised that she may have been a member of the governing council of a political party, contrary to Article 88. This nominee was able to demonstrate to us that although she served as a deputy CEO in one of the political parties, she was never a member of the governing body, and went to the registrar of political parties and produced those who were members of the governing body for Jubilee since inception, and even for UDA, and therefore was able to demonstrate that she is not disqualified under that rubric. Hassan Nur Hassan is a gentleman with about 40 years in public administration as required by Section 6 of the IEBC Act. But of note was an objection that had been raised under Article 88(2)(a), that he may have vied as a governor within the last 5 years. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Hassan was able to demonstrate to us by reading the express provisions of the Constitution that the disqualification only applies to members of parliament and MCAs, not those who vie for president, not those who vie for governor. Mr. Speaker, as a committee, we came to the conclusion that you cannot import a disqualification into the express provisions of a text. And therefore, we were able to find that he was not disqualified. The other nominee is Professor Francis Aduol. Mr. Speaker, this Professor Francis Aduol was quite impressive. He is a professor of geospatial science and engineering. Shall I repeat? He's a professor of geospatial science and engineering. And part of his specialty, his first PhD, was on the study of the earth. And he told us he can actually tell where any of you are at any one point if he gets your phone number or something like that. But of importance is the fact that one of his areas is delimitation of boundaries. Delimitation, including the focus on what weight should be placed on population, size, and even poverty. And we came to the conclusion that of all the nominees, this nominee will be very helpful to the Commission when it comes to the issue of delimitation. And we are all aware that we are immensely out of time on the question of delimitation. We are also all aware that it's a very emotive matter. It was important to note that Professor Duol has worked with all the bodies that have dealt with this issue, from the Interim Independent Boundaries Commission to the Committee of Experts to the IEBC and every other body. And therefore, we had no hesitation in recommending him. Mr. Speaker, Fahima Abdallah, I think that the chairman has spoken to all that there is to speak. She ticks the three very important boxes: youth, minority, and gender, and has had at least 10 years in public administration. Mr. Speaker, this particular nominee was accompanied by her father, and one of the members had the courage to ask whether she was married or not, which was not part of our consideration. And I've heard Honorable Farah objecting that the chair is casting aspersion. But Mr. Speaker, I do not see any aspersions there, because I know Honorable Farah is allowed by religion more than one wife, to get even up to the fourth. And even after getting to the fourth, I am sure Honorable Farah is allowed by religion to divorce. Talak, talak, talak. So it means Honorable Farah remains permanently eligible.
There is a point. Honorable Farah.
Mr. Speaker, there seems to be a conspiracy against
You
me
seem
from
to
my
have
No.
you seem to have exhibited some profane behavior
No.
in the committee.
No. The senior counsel.
What is your point of order?
My point of order is that I did not say that this lady is single. You know what I mean? So, Of course, somebody said
What
that.
is your point of order? You are compounding the allegation. Because you seem to be very excited.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr.
Yes,
Speaker.
Jeanette, what's your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, I want to come to the aid of Honorable Farah. Because, Mr. Speaker, as you know, the Honorable Farah is the cuckoo danger of Northern Kenya. Mr. Speaker, you know what I mean, Mr. Speaker?
Yes.
This is the real cuckoo danger, Mr. Speaker, the way you're seeing it.
Yes, Zamzam. Mama Zamzam.
Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi nataka niwaambie Mheshimiwa Tendo Amolo na wenzake, huyu ni mtoto wetu mrembo sana mzuri, lakini hajakuja hapo masala ya ndoa, amekuja pale kuchapa kazi. Ni mwanamke na wanawake wakionekana sehemu, sionekane ndoa tu, wapewe nafasi yao ya kuweza kujenga taifa. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika.
Otieno Amolo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I actually agree with the Honorable Zamzam, but hasten to remind her that there is also a right to marry. So it's not excluded in the Constitution. And I am happy that Honorable Farah has sustained his excitement right from vetting to this committee. Mr. Speaker, I second.
Order member on the feet, take your seat. Who is that member with his back to the Speaker? Take your seat. Honorable members, I'll now propose the question at order number 10, which is that, taking into consideration the findings of the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs in its report on the vetting of nominees for appointment as chairperson and member of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 3rd June 2025, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 252B of the Constitution, approves the appointment of the following persons to the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC. 1. Erastus Edung Ethekon, chairperson. 2. Ann Nderitu Njeri, member. 3. Moses Alutalala Muhwana, member. 4. Mary Karen Sorobit, member. 5. Hassan Nur Hassan, member. 6. Francis Odhiambo Aduol, member. And 7. Ms. Fahima Arafat Abdallah, member. Kamket, how many honorable members, how long do you want us to take on this? How many? Let me allow some debate, and I'll call the mover to reply at 4:30. Yes, Kamket.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.